Welcome back, everybody, to Runeterra Rising. We've got a third place showdown today, and an interesting showdown at that. We have a bunch of people switching around roles, we have some subs coming in. It's all around a recipe for, who knows, could be some peak cinema, or it could be a disaster. We don't really know, but that's the fun and games of League of Legends. I'm your caster, Shadow Dweller, joined alongside me is Mazavera. Maz, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you very much, and I've got some more League of Legends to look forward to. Nothing beats that on a weekday after a hard days of work. So I'm very much looking forward to this matchup. Got a couple of interesting players on both teams, but maybe let's point out who is getting subbed for the first of all. We've got Vril coming in for the jungler non-reciprocal. And there's a little bit of lane switcherooing going on. To my understanding, we've got Miss on the other team, on the Freljordan team. We are going to have Murmur coming in, and Kaisel will be moving to the top lane to accommodate that, while the normal top laner is out for this series. Any specific matchup you are looking forward to, Shadow?
Yeah, I don't really know. I'm honestly excited for all of it. I think it's going to be a good mix of chaos between everyone playing different roles, playing with the sub, everything like that. I think it's overall just going to be a lot of fun and chaos.
And that's what we're here for. The more fun and chaos there is, the more enjoyable it becomes, and that is generally when we get to see absolute cinema, which is what we're all secretly signing up for. Regarding the two teams, there are always a couple of players who I love watching. One of them is a guy who, when things are going well, I will point out that he knows where he's got his compass calibrated and that he's going up, and then it's pointing north, and then all is fine. However, when he ends up doing some questionable stuff, we will see. I will be referring to him as Southstream. The only guy who, of course, I'm mentioning here is the North Stream, the AD carry for Freljord. Meanwhile, on Ionia, I'm very much looking forward to Mismatch, because I've seen that he has got a considerable mastery on a couple of champions, and it will be interesting to see if he gets to play any of those, or if they will end up getting taken away. Also, for the top lane, Vrey sporting the 1 million mastery on Darius. That should be interesting to see if he's going to play it actually, and how that looks like. So, very much looking forward to this. I am, and
I am excited. Gambling is live. I mean, predictions are live. Chat. Make sure to put your points in on who you think is going to win. But I mean, I don't think we're ever going to see the light of day for this Darius at all. I'd be shocked to see it. We will be getting into the draft shortly, and I'm really excited to see what these teams have to offer, because the thing is, when people are playing out of their comfort zone, it also becomes a lot tougher to scout them, and who knows, maybe we see some weird things. I mean, that's the question. When you're playing off-role, Mazavera, do you like to take your champs into the off-role, or do you say these champs are the best in this role, I'll just pick them?
For me, it depends. I'll put it this way. It depends on what I expected from me when I end up on the top. If I am expected to do a to sort of shoulder the burden and potentially be a threat or be a difference maker, then I'm going to play the champions that I'm comfortable on, even if I'm not in my main role. However, if I'm just there to not say make the numbers, but more like in a supportive role, then I will adapt to the team so that the team can play what they are most used to, and then I'll try and slot in whatever style I can fit into that team. So it kind of depends what you're looking for. If you're, for example, in Vrail's situation, or for Murmur's situation, but I'll get to Vrail first, since he's playing out of position. If he's playing in the jungle, then to me, I'd go with something that either fits his playstyle or fits the team's playstyle. Like if the team has got, let's say, 3 melee people, and they're like, Sejuani would be really good here. Well, Sejuani is kind of a brain dead champion. You can just play that, kind of like Owner did with Mundo, checking the skills while he was in the semi-finals. There are some champions which you can pull that off with. Others, you need more mechanics and need to know better. So, very much depends. As for Kaizel, because he's being pushed from mid to top, that your champion pool is going to translate either way. Most of the champions that you play in mid, you can make a little adaptation. You can play them out top as well. There's a fair amount of champions that can be used in both roles. So I think that that's an easier transition. Vrail, to my understanding, is a hardcore mid laner, and now he's going to end up being the jungler, which impacts all the lanes. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do. Other than that, I'd be happy with it either way.
Yeah, this will definitely be an interesting one. We're seeing the bans, and honestly, not really surprised to see these bans so far. I'm a bit surprised that the Darius is actually going to go through. That's a choice and a half, but I mean, Mazavera, you love doing your background research. You're the guy who spends an hour reading up on all the players. What do you really expect these guys to go towards with their team comps? Should we expect to see front-to-back team comps here today?
To me, the more interesting decision is the fact that the Evorosians have just decided to ban out a couple of mid laners and left certain others open, which, because if you know, a mismatch 3 million mastery on LeBlanc, obviously that's not, I doubt that ever gets through. After that, it is Shogun that's getting banned, meaning that they are considering that they've got answers for Cassio, or should they be picked early on. On the other side, Wujustal has just decided to ban a couple of champions all around, which is always a good strategy to go for. Distributing them a bit. Waka's Rel is a well-known commodity and definitely worthy of a ban. But that means that you leave certain things open. Avarosians lock in Smolder, the disgustingly broken AD carry right now, who urgently needs to get hotfixed. Or his interactions with a certain rune needs to get hotfixed. Wujustal answer it with a Jarvan, which will be for Frail. So they're making sure that their jungler is getting a pick, plus they're taking Yanara. And taking the jungler earlier is actually rather smart, because if he's there to just fill in, which I'm assuming that he should be adapting to the rest of his team, basically you're having, or what should be considered more or less like a dead pick to make. So you're showing that early on means that you can continuously mismatch on other roles afterwards. So I like the early Jarvan lock-in. It's a standard champion, doesn't require a lot of knowledge, just need to know when to go in and when not, which Frau should have a decent idea for. And it is answered by Lee Sin, which is generally not a greatly favorite matchup for Jarvan. And then the best blind pick mid laner you can hope for being the Syndra. And it looks like Wujustal opted for or is considering a Hui here. And Hui into Hui into Syndra.
I was gonna say, I believe they're locked in. They're on spins.
I missed that out.
One. But this is the thing, when everyone's playing off roles, I'm forgetting exactly who is playing in the off roles. But the thing is, it's not. Sometimes you're forced into uncomfortable matchups. I'm honestly surprised we didn't see the Darius come through, and we do see it come out as a ban now on the back half. But I mean, it's top and support that are left. What do you really expect to go first?
I'd expect the support to be first here, and you'll give the top as a counter pick, unless the only way you pick top first is if you really value the support counter pick. That being said, the logic would dictate otherwise, and I think that the logic will be respected here. Bard is a champion that's going to roam a whole lot. Not sure that's the wisest decision to leave Yunara solo in the lane, but it will be making it very interesting because Bard can really team up with the jungler real easy and influence a lot of lanes. Meanwhile, it does feel like that's more or less to be expected, being the Renata, because if Waka's main champion being the Rel is banned away, they generally opt for Renata. The fact that it was left open somewhat surprises me, because that fights really well into close corners, and for now, Wuju style loves fighting equally in those close corners, so it's a very good counter. Somewhat surprised that was left open. And then it looks like they are gonna round it out with Cassante, a very all-round and rather safe blind pick in the top lane, which then means that we are going to get to see what Wujusta would like to answer. And it looks like a instant Kale hover for Vrey. Yeah, it's gonna be a hard time. It's Vrel and Vrey that are playing together on a team. It's gonna be fun mixing those names up.
Man. Yay! I love when people make our job easy.
Yeah.
But the last call for putting your predictions in. You see the drafts now. Make sure to put your predictions in based on who you think is going to win. This is definitely going to be an interesting one. And I mean, I'm conflicted on which draft I like more. I think I prefer the side of the Freljord here with the Smolder.
For me, it's interesting in both ways. The only issue that I have with the Wuju style is that they don't really have a designated tank player unless Jarvan is going to go full tank, but I find that a waste of his kit. So it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to play out. Very important is going to be how the side lanes are going to be going. I think that that's going to be the main decider for this game. Very much whoever has a stronger bot or gets an edge, I feel that that's going to be very, very impactful. Smolder and Yunara both scale exquisitely well, one with items and the other one with stacks, so it should be interesting to see how that's going to progress. And then I think that it's going to be critical to see who Cassante will abduct in the team fights, because if you abduct Kale and turn that into a 1v1, then I think that the 4v4 matchup on the other side, quite frankly, is in the advantage of the Avarosians. However, if Bard places a good ult and delays the fight, then you can basically start all over again. And Kale has a fantastic scaling as well into the late game, so Wuju style has options, but they're gonna have to find ways to buy time, which is often a harder aspect. So both teams have very clear early game champions, very clear mid game, very clear late game champions. So draft wise, like them both. Slight preference for the Avarosians based on the fact that that's a Smolder. Other than that, I'd be happy with to play either one. As we get here straight into the game, and Sunny is definitely gonna go and spot where the jungler starts, takes a bit of poke for his troubles, and has gained no information whatsoever.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm enticed by both of these comps. I still do prefer the Freljord side. I think, though, the Kale is definitely going to be interesting to see what impact it can find, not only in the 1v1, but across the map. And this bot lane, we had a prediction in chat that the series would be decided in the bot lane, as Waka's just already dead. He got a little too over-ambitious, and that's the power of the Yunara. You just don't really have Smolder online early to really fight that.
Uh, it's more that Waka was a bit aggressive with his positioning and basically got called for it by Felix Nova, instantly stunning him up, and after that stun was up, well, basically he was just dead at that point. He did end up trading his flash for the flash of DD carry, which is always a worthwhile trade, but that's going to make this bot lane a lot harder for the Freljordians.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
it's not looking good early on.
Very interesting though. Lee Sin path top was potentially looking to see if there is anything there, and is going to try and go for a transition gank in the mid lane, and then go through to the side. Whereas Jarvan, he is just speed running his camps, and is going to end up with a little XP lead.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Sunny isn't able to find anything in the mid lane, and so I mean, he's just gonna be behind on the farm now. It's not the greatest of positions here. He's now just gonna immediately path to the bot lane. Sunny does not care about camps. You farm champs, not camps. Gank gonna go in. They're gonna be pulled back by the Renata. North Stream trying to get out of there. Zampharos is going to look to chase him down, but it's not gonna be enough. Sunny's gonna go forward, and Waka unfortunately picks up the kill, but it is a kill onto the bot lane, and that's gotta feel good to start, especially after how this game started for Waka.
Yeah, and when you're behind in camps and you've given up some of the camps, you might as well own it. Make sure that the time that you've given up shows up and you get rewarded for this. So hard forcing ganks like this, it comes with a risk. You're going to be down with levels. Your smite is going to get upgraded later on. However, he's making sure that his team gets back into this, and most importantly, that it gets evened out in the bot lane. Ideally, you would have preferred to have that kill onto the Smolder. However, you'll take it either way because Yunara was out of lane. Meanwhile, they're bringing everybody to the top lane.
Yeah, Kaizel is just going to try to be Cassante and walk out, but it's just not going to be enough. With the fact that the support and jungler came up, and that is a successful counter gank onto the top side. You know the Lee Sin has to be farming his camps down bot, and you just make a good play. And you did mention during the draft you're unsure if this Bard roaming will be good for the Yunara, but considering he gets an early kill onto the Yunara, it means that this Bard can roam more.
Yeah, it provides a very important roam timer for him, which he uses close to near perfection. And I mentioned that it would be nefast for the Yunara. However, it's going to be really good for the other lanes. And if Bard consistently tags along together with the Jarvan, then that is going to be where they're really going to be able to do some proper damage. And you can say all you want about Yunara being behind. If Yunara is behind, but that Kayle gets an absolute lead, then, ladies and gentlemen, you're in for a rough one. That being said, interesting enough, not a lot of damage traded yet by the Hui, other than that level 1 onto Lee Sin. There hasn't been a whole lot of damage traded by Hui just yet, so interesting. As I cast or curse this instantly, Hui goes straight on for some damage. And the other thing I forgot. And the other thing that I forgot to mention is in the top lane, this Cassante is going to enjoy his time early on. But once that becomes a range matched up against him, he's not going to have that much time, which right now has occurred.
Yeah, now we're seeing a gank into the bot lane. The flag and drag is going to go wide. Sunny is here to help with the coverage. Vrail trying to get out of here, flashes away, but Sunny's going to be able to dash forward and take a kill onto him. The mid laners are coming down now too. Mismatch has an opportunity. Flash forward, looking to land onto Waka. Murmur going to flash in response, and Sunny's got a double. Looking to go massive even more. Murmur's going to pick up a kill, and it's 2 dead in the bot lane for the side of Buju Style.
And they brought everybody to that party, and we can already see the effects that are currently occurring in the top lane, where Kaisel is not having a fun time in this matchup now that it's become a ranged matchup. So this is going to become increasingly bad. However, if the rest of the team actually gains an advantage, which currently is happening, then that is totally worth it. He will happily suffer there. However, I do feel that Kaisel, you're going to have to... Ooh, interesting. I thought there was definitely a dive opportunity there with the ult from the...
I thought
the ult from
Frey
ults Veil, and there we go. He goes beneath, and this is not a fun time. Wow.
Kaisel somehow gets out of there. Frey wants to go deeper. Flash forward. The shield just long enough. Frey's gonna die in response. Kaisel somehow survives the turret dive and using the shield. Oh my goodness.
Absolute cinema. And we're hoping to get a recap. However, we get more fighting in the bot lane in the meanwhile.
Oh, Nord Stream will barely survive.
Oh, Lord Almighty.
This is sticking
like
around.
It's over just yet.
Felix Nova. Yeah, this definitely isn't over. Felix Nova's going to be in a lot of danger. Bomb's going to be called in. Sunny's going to have to dash out of there as Ampharos wants a bit more, but cannot find any of the enemy champions. His ult had expired because he used it just a couple of seconds prior. But so 1.2k gold lead for the Freljord. And my goodness, what we were going to say was Kaisel did a total of 24 damage to Frey, and it was enough to pick up a kill. And I mean, it's still not an easy matchup by any means, but definitely feels a bit more manageable now.
Yeah, and for me, the interesting part is to see if Kaisel is going to opt for the economy build that you then often see come out of, for example, a set which is the Zeke's Convergence, making sure that your ultimate is up, getting as much resistances as possible, or if he is going to go for proper items, which currently that Sheen would indicate that he's going to opt for a rather costly build nonetheless. And the other thing that's always interesting is when you're playing a ranged matchup into a tank, it is, I'll say it's risky always, because you can either, as I say this, we might be, I thought that we would have been ended up getting a kill there in the top lane. But the reason why I say that it's always risky is the one with the range always has to be very careful. As in, you make one mistake, and that could be your entire game just gone right then and there. Speaking of mistake, we get Frey being a bit too over-aggressive, trying to claw something back, and that means that now 2 kills have gone over to Kaisel.
Yeah, and now in the bot side, we had another gank as Walk is going to be the target. Mom is going to be called. Is not going to be able to hit anyone. And Sunny is here. Vrail is going to go down yet again. His bad game turns to worse. Ampharos up next as Sunny has been absolutely clutch using the ultimate. Going to pick up all 3. And Sunny might have come in a last second. But my goodness, this man looks like the best player on the team.
Yeah, Sunny seems to be having an excellent game. However, to my knowledge, he is the regular jungler. It is Vrail who's the last-minute addition.
I messed that up.
He is having a bit of a rough one now. He's doing basically standard things. However, it's just that this Lee Sin is just reading him like a book and absolutely punishing him and the rest of his team for it. And as we see that they're looking for to go back to that well in the top lane, we've got Bard coming in, we've got Vrail coming in afterwards, but Kaisel's just going to get out. So meanwhile,
forgive me for messing up. It's a lot to keep track of. Everyone's out of position here. Everyone's got something going on. But Vrail has just been trying to gank a lot. At this point, I'd just like to see him try to find some farm. But over in this bot side, I mean, you're seeing the effects of the Yunara alone, where it's suddenly becoming a lot more dangerous. There are 4 members down here. Where's your Bard? Absolutely nowhere. He's visiting the Void Grubs, and you're visiting a grave.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you want to make this work, you're investing so much in the bot lane, you gotta make sure that you get something back. You're gonna have to get this scale to come online, and so they're looking forward to going straight in, instantly neutralizing that turret very smartly with the Bardal. No ults had to be used, and that means that if Vrey can then poke out Hazel in the top lane, he will be able to revisit this a dive potentially with his ult onto the Jarvan if the Jarvan tags up for the damage. So it's all good and well investing for bot, but that means that somewhere on the map you need to make sure that you've got a counterplay. They did execute that here. I like that very much. Meanwhile,
yeah, now Murmur taking a lot of damage, being bursted out with the help of Felix Nova, gonna be here, but the problem is Walk is gonna be there for the coverage, and Murmur is gonna be able to walk out of this one, surprisingly, but Felix wants a little bit more, might have gotten a little bit over ambitious, and that is not what you want to see. Murmur is just able to pick up the solo kill with a little bit of support from Waka. As over in the spot side, it's the second Drake started up. Ampharos is going to be going forward, and Mama's going to be called down. She will go wide, though, and Nord Stream right now is doing well to just survive in this lane against Ampharos and his pushes.
And the question that also needs to be asked is, who is the real support in this game? Is it Wako or is it Nord Stream? Because to my knowledge, Nord Stream is currently sitting on 8 assists, 0 kills, and 0 deaths. That's the support score. Not what you want to be having for your AD carry. Whereas Waka has managed to get on the board so far. Meanwhile, to give you a little update, we've got 100 stacks on Nord Stream's Smolder. So he will soon be getting access to that upgraded Q ability. It's at 125, it upgrades to the next one, and then after that, it stacks pretty fast up to 225, and that's when the execute comes online, and Smolder kind of gets a free. I'm blanking on the name of the item again. He gets a free Elder Dragon, but it's the execute item, a free collector. That is what I wanted to get at. So that's when he basically gets a free collector. Interesting enough, though, Smolder has opted for the Omnivamp boots, which is something you only do if you know that you're certain that you're going to be able to get enough kills or assists. And he's able to find out.
I think he's got enough assists, all right.
He's got enough assists. He's going to be wanting to get some kills. So that's going to be an interesting one. Meanwhile, Vrey has been able to get take over a second point into that ultimate, making sure that they get access to that. But more importantly, the damage is just going through the roof. And if they can consistently do that damage, then that is generally what will happen.
Yeah, and Kaisel was not ready for the evolution of Vrey, as you see him get absolutely spattered across the tarmac. And Vrey now is starting to come online, and you know level 16 is going to be even scarier. And now the thing is, it's not a huge gold lead, but just the range versus melee matchup will provide such an advantage, and they will also be able to go for the Rift Herald off of this.
Yeah, and this is generally where it comes back slightly for you. Oh, looks like Murmur is looking, but can't find anything to connect, and won't be able to use his Scatter of the Week. Meanwhile, we get a TP, and it looks like there's going to be a massive fight here.
Yeah, Vray still wants to go for this, but the Bardol's going to go wide. Nordstrom going over the wall, and Felix Nova wants a little bit more, but he's going to be alone here and teleport into the bot side from Kaisel. Will make sure he's here to help out, and the thing is now they're starting to surround him. They can go for this if they want. The turret is low, but not low enough. They still do want to go further in this bot side. Mom going to be called. Not going to be enough. Mismatch in a lot of danger. Now flashes are going to be used for her. Frey's going to be the first one dead, as there goes the Yunara. Sunny's still alive on this backside, trying to get some help. Not going to get it in time, though. Murmur will be there to help out. Felix block for taking the portal over the wall, and the tunnel just barely keeps them alive. It's a bloodbath in the bottom side of the rift.
And this is where I like very much what Frail is trying to do. He sees that everybody's down there, tries to open up the map because that's going to make things easier for you. Your mid lane is now extended, never a fun thing for your bot lane. And that means that this bot lane from the side of the Evolutions, who should be coming into the mid lane, will be coming into some issues. So that's the interesting part. Now, we do have a little fun fact because we mentioned earlier whoever's going to win that bot lane is probably going to end up having a massive advantage. And it should be interesting to see how the difference currently between the two AD carries is forming up. Meanwhile, we did get
this gold graph
another
is
kill.
Just the ADCs. It's 10 assists. It's 1 kill, 5 deaths to 10 assists. This has been a game from the ADCs. And this is the top lane, though. And we mentioned the Kayle needs to scale. And I mean, the problem is that he got the gold lead back more even. But the thing is, you'd expect Vray to be ahead here, as we're going to see a flash in the middle. Mismatch is going to be here to help out. Nordstrom's going to be in a lot of danger now as he's taking a lot of damage. Mom going to be called, but with the ability of the Renata, he stays alive just a bit longer to help pick up a kill, and Sunny will get one back in exchange. And over in this top side, Bray uses the ultimate to perfection. That's how you get it done. But Cataclysms are going to be used around this Drake Frail in a lot of danger. Now Walker's going to help Sunny get out of there. And now Sunny's going to go into the backside. And the hostile takeover will freeze them all in place and drop all 3. This is pure domination from the side of the Freiliard across the map.
And I gotta be wondering, who is really your support? Is it Smolder or is it Renata at this point? Because Renata, not only are they getting more assists, they got more kills. And at this point, it just continues to have this misery for Nordstrom for now, not being able to get access to those kills. However, he's at 165 stacks. Won't be too long before he ticks over to that 225 and gets that execute, and then he will be certain to be able to collect some kills. That being said, you also have Syndra, who soon will get access to her execute, which we forgot to mention. At 120, that final ball executes anything below, I think it is 12% HP. If the last ball puts you below 12 HP, it's bye-bye time for you. So I like very much what's going on. Also, all Drakes currently over to the Avarosians. They only need one more, and they're gonna need this to deal with this Kaisel. And Kaisel, he's not in a fun place right now.
Kaisel's not in a fun place, but he's about to be, as the party is about to start. All of his team arrives, and the Baron is spawning in. And they're actually all here if they want to start it. I don't think they will, but Amphora is now looking for a little bit of chip damage. Nordstrom wants to chase down, and now Murmur is going to be here. Amphoros is in a lot of danger. Scatter the Wicked is going to come through, and the Bardol's just not enough. Murmur's godlike as he blows up this ADC, and the rough game continues to get worse as they will take the mid turret.
Yeah, Yunara is not having a lot of fun, and I love Yunara as a champion, but if you're drafting a Yunara, you need something, an enchanter, to basically help her out. Right now, it is the Bard, and the Bard is good at helping the rest of the team, but I do feel that was a little mistake there. Meanwhile, we do see another team fight, and they're not opting to take the Bard forward this time around. Um, Other than that, if we take a little stock, we do see that there is a 2.3k gold lead, which, all things considered, knowing that you are 12 kills in the hole is not that large. And if you have one good team fight and collect the bounties that currently are on Syndra, on Waka, and I think on Sunny, then you could actually swing this gold deficit into a gold lead for Wuju style.
Yeah, this is not a game that's over yet, especially with the kill scaling. But I mean, the problem is I need to see better play from the players. Don't think this just comes down to the champion picks, as this one is going to be Kaizel in a lot of danger. Waka trying to get here to help out, but he's going to be able to kidnap Veil over the wall. He's going to use the Cataclysm right onto Waka. Waka having to flash out of a hostile takeover is going to come in and buy them a little bit more time. So with the ball, as Kaizel's going to go down, rest of the team going to be coming in. Sunny in a lot of danger. Waka still survives on the backside. Murmur is absolutely legendary, but it's not enough to save his jungler. Low HP, limping away from the fight. And just like we said, it's definitely not over as Wuju style find the fight that they need. Bray may be able to find Murmur here, but no, the burst is too much.
And not only that, that means that the stacks have ticked over to 120, and you can see in the little icon next to Murmur's name, the execute for the ultimate has now been achieved, because you don't see the numbers anymore. It's completely stacked. Anytime somebody is below 12%, they just go boom. So this is real big. Also being able to protect that shutdown, massive stuff. But currently, that gold lead, it's slimming down. If you're able to kill Murmur, then that gold lead is completely gone. And meanwhile, we do see the mid lane gold draft, so we will have seen here that Murmur has been operating with a gold lead for the majority of the game. However, Mismatch has been able, despite not having access to all those kills, to be ahead. Considering that Mismatch was absolutely target banned and got removed a couple of the bans there, I gotta say, this is a very, very, very nice outcome currently, and you would have signed that on a paper should it have been presented to you. Meanwhile, both teams are just jockeying for some positioning here, trying to get some vision control in there, and it should be interesting because this is going to be a fight for soul.
Yeah, and right
As
now
we see.
you don't have your top laner down here. I mean, the Bardol's gonna go wide, but this is a 4 versus 5. Maybe the fight they want to take, but Vrail's already taking a lot of damage. Teleport gonna come in. Vrail gonna look to go into the front line, but this dragon is going to go down slowly. That's the good news. The bad news, it's not gonna go down slow enough as everyone's gonna go in. Kaiser wants to push them all back. Mom gonna come down, and this Drake may just be claimed as everything's gonna go on to Kaiser. It's just not gonna be enough. He's down to half HP. Efra's in a lot of danger. Kaiser's gonna be able to blow him up as the rest of the team's gonna be coming forward. Efra's gonna pop the ultimate, just trying to survive a little bit longer. Kaiser's still alive on this backside. Gonna go down to Mismatch. Nord Stream on the wrong side of history now. Watching the Crossbow trying to get away, but Nova's not gonna be able to follow. He's gonna die for following. Braille in the front line. Black and Drag trying to get out of there. He uses the Cataclysm to stop Sunny and hold him at bay. Not gonna be enough though. Mismatch is on, but Mismatch won't be down. Sunny dropped in exchange as the rest of the team was not ready to follow up, and it's a 2 for 2.
But the big thing is, while they sacrificed Kaisel, basically sent him there and to operate as a massive lightning rod, guess who ended up securing the soul? It's the Avarosians. The Avarosians once again have been able to get a little lead. Not only that, Smolder finally got his first kill, and more importantly, look at those stacks. It's over 225, which means that the threshold has been reached, and now they have a free access to a collector and a free Elder buff that will just continue to get larger and larger and larger. So it's looking, this game is looking very good for the Avarosians, but one small mistake could literally spell doom. Not only that, look at the gold lead as well. it has been going down over the last time, where it's now at 700k gold. If you kill Murmur, you outright have a gold lead. So they're always so for now, Wujustal has been able to trade back little bobs and pieces and are within striking range. And it looks like the other team continues to go to their well of success, being let's go and bully Kaisel as much as we can.
Yeah, but Kaisel has some friends now. They have a little bit of a wave. This tower is going to go down quickly as Felix tries to pop the ultimate to just buy a little bit more time. Hostile takeover and Mom will come down, but they're not going to be enough as everyone's going to be fighting, and this tower is still staying alive, and Kaisel has gone in a little bit too far. He's going to take a lot of damage, and that bullet sponge is just not going to be enough. Veil looking to go forward. Cataclysms are going to be used. Walker's got a flash out there, but North Stream's already down. No one's here to help you now. You don't have your mid laner, and you don't have a hope at this. Sonny's got to run for the hills, but he may be next on the chopping block, barely gonna get away, but that's what happens when you don't have Murmur. Baron gonna be going over.
Yeah, and this was very well played. I'd be very interested to see if Sonny tries and steal this, or if he wants to contest this, because Lee Sin has that annoying executability. However, he is too late. And that just means that the purple dragon, well, the Nash, is going to end up going over to Wujustal. Wujustal had the gold deficit just earlier, and now has an absolute advantage. So I gotta say, it's going to be interesting to see what they can absolutely get from the Baron. Also, no smite being used on the Baron. They were very confident that Lee Sin wouldn't have shown up. And I think that he regrets not knowing that particular detail. This means that this game is going to go to the Elder. And the Elder is probably going to end up deciding where they will go from there. Because I got a feeling that we are not close to an end just yet.
Yeah, and
the other interesting part as well
is going to go up to the Elder.
Yeah, that Baron buff is going to probably last them close to the Elder. The important part here, though, is look at the AD carries. Despite having been bullied a fair amount, Yunara is nearly identical in terms of gold, and it does look like the other team is just going to keep going to their well of success, keep bullying Kaisel, because right now that he is really far behind.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you gotta pick on the weak side, but this Baron will last 3 more seconds than when the Elder spawns. So the thing is, this wave pushing will continue up until that spawn, which means you don't have a great way to walk over to it. But if you look at the Elder, there's not a lot of vision, especially considering it's spawning in 30 seconds. Doesn't have a lot of presence around it either, but Murmur's going to be in danger from Frey. He's going to try to flash out of there. Frey's going to use the ultimate and going to be able to kill him, but he's going to go down in response to the turret. And now the problem is the heavy hitters are down. This Elder is looking a lot more wide open. It's spawning on the map, but it doesn't actually have a visitor, as Kaisel is going to go in onto Ampharos, and everyone's going to be running here to the top side, trying to provide some coverage. Kaisel just going to drop to the power of the Bard stun, as Mismatch is here too, and everyone wants to push this top side. Who needs the Elder buff? Apparently no one. Veil gonna be here too if he's needed. He does have that GA, and finally they will back off. Maybe everyone realizing, hey, the Elder is on the table, as everyone will back now, and this actually opens the map for this Freljord side. They can just walk over to the Elder. I apologize. The spawn timer for it was off on the overlay. but it's now on the map and everyone's gonna walk down, and this is the question: how do you want to execute this? Flag is gonna be used, the drag won't be coming with it though, as Felix gonna take a little bit of damage from Nord Stream, and that is the problem. This Smolder is online and will do a lot of damage, but so is this Yunara. How do these teams want to execute this? Geisel's gonna be in that front line tank looking to get ready. Nord Stream just farming a little bit more. They want the mid lane prio, but the problem is you're not really gonna be able to collect it with all 5 members here. Who's gonna hit that go button? When are you gonna hit that go button? Everyone's trying to get some poke down. Mountain Soul is gonna be doing some work here. Bray and Mismatch in that front line, but nobody wants to go. Nobody even wants to start the Elder up. Everyone's just at arm's reach. They know this is the fight that will determine all of it, and the question is when? When do you go? Who goes? This bubble will come in with a little bit of damage. I think there's the go button. Murmur gonna be caught by the ult, but there goes everyone. Smolder ripping up has gone off. Brill gonna be the last one surviving. GA gonna save your life for only a few more seconds, and Murmur gets away with murder.
Yeah, and both teams very well realized that one little mistake would end up costing them. Very smart to just play the waiting game there, let them engage, let them burn their abilities, and then absolutely collapse them, because unfortunately they weren't able to get onto Nord Stream. Look at Nord Stream, he still has his flash and his barrier, so he was never touched, didn't feel pressured at all, and I would expect them to open this base slightly up, and they're just gonna go and take that Elder, because then they have Elder for everybody, able to make sure that they get a good fight afterwards, and that will probably lead to a victory. Meanwhile, we do see a TP coming in, so it does look like they aren't ready to just give this up.
Mismatch is going to go down, but he did his job.
Ooh.
He delayed it just a little bit, but the problem is you have to remember that it was a slower death for the Jarvan. Still no one to go. Bray wants to take a look, not going to be able to. The Bardo is going to be using Bray's over in this front line. He wants to get a little bit of damage down, and he's looking for Kaiser, but it's not going to be enough as North Stream's in the front line. Mama's going to come down, but it's not going to be enough. Bray kicked away. Sonny trying to keep them off his team's back. They do have that Elder buff, but they don't have the damage. But the problem is the GA betrayed Braille, as he was not there due to the GA delaying his respawn, and now Braille's going to be in a lot of danger in this front line. Hostile takeover going to be used. The Felix stuff has nobody to target, as if Rosa's going to go down. The Cataclysm was just not enough, and there's no hope for the side of Muju Style.
Yeah, and right now, with that Elder buff, you just want to fight. Anytime you can get a fight, you're going to take it. As soon as they're all 5, they are just going to head over to that Baron. Make sure that they collect that, and together with the Baron, they should basically just walk it into the base and absolutely take it right after. So I like very much what they've done. They have, however, removed it, the Elder buff from Murmur, which is a big damage source. So one of the 2 damage sources does not have access to that Elder. And the question is, can you provide some magic at this point? Because this is what you need. You're going to need a Hail Mary to stay in this game. It's going to require a mistake from the Avarosians in terms of positioning or anything else. So that's going to be an interesting one. See if they can execute it. I'd expect them to be pushing 2 lanes, making sure that you're going to force the opposing team into a decision. The easy decision here is to just go on the Kaiser in the mid lane and give up your top side. Also remember that Kaiser, and this is the smart part, Kaiser still has the Elder buff, so it's not an easy fight. You're going to have to commit multiple people to kill that Cassante, and he's even hovering his top side.
Yeah, and with the waves crashing now, the Baron buff is going to help out, as Mom will be called to clear the next minion wave coming in, and it's just not looking good for the side of Wuju Style. Like you said, they need a Hail Mary, but where is the Hail Mary? All you can hope for is that one member oversteps, and as long as they play basic League of Legends, it's going to look good, as Kaisel, I believe, just got Bard
Oh, look
ulted
at
in the
top!
mid lane, and now the Cataclysm's going to be used. But on the top side, the teleport gets him out of the Cataclysm. Cataclysm is not a CC. You have to remember that. And Kaisel gets back for the defense. Now the rest of the members have to defend here. Last opportunity. You do not have Bray. Bray is trying to get back in time, but the problem is it in time? Emperor's looking to do a lot of damage, but there goes Doorstream. Doorstream's going to be able to blow him up, and Bray is still back, got delayed. This is it for game one. The Empress will take this after a long 36-minute battle.
Give me my gamble, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a happy camper at this point. That being said, we do gotta point out some things that this game, despite, and specifically Vrail, despite not playing on his main role, he had a fairly decent impact, and he was able to link up with the rest of the team. The rest of the team played well nonetheless. So this was a closer series than I was expecting, and I'll give props where props is due. So also a massive performance from that Kale in the top lane. I liked the TP out of the base, seeing if they could try and force something. Unfortunately, with the improved recallers from the Baron buff, Kaisel was able to just get back, and as soon as you used that TP, you were never getting back. So as soon as Kaisel was in, there's only one outcome for that fight. So very well done. Quick question before we send it into the break. Shadow, who have you got for ace and MVP for this game? Shadow?
My mic isn't working again. I love this game. I love testing, but the thing is that most valuable support goes to the Smolder, but I gotta say the MVP is Sunny. Just all the plays that he made were so great, and then obviously Murmur having a great game too. But it all started off with Sunny.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Sunny as well. He impacted all his lanes, made sure that he set his team up for some massive opportunities. So I gotta say, I really liked what he did there. As for Ace, I'm probably gonna go with Frey here on this one. He had a massive impact. It was an absolute point of pressure. As soon as he hit 6, was absolutely dominating Kaisel left, right, and center. And if given a bit more time, or if his team could have bought a bit more time for him to do 1v1 work, I think he could have taken it to the house. That being said,
but,
go ahead.
I just want to say one more point. Great job by Murmur to really step up, especially when the ADC is not quite getting the kills that you need him to get. But it's time to send it to break. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got game 2 coming up shortly, and we will see you all after the break. Welcome back, everybody. We just saw a very fun, intense game one, but we're gonna get right into the draft because we want more action. We don't really want to wait around. And as we get ready for game two, Mazavera, what do you expect to maybe see switch up here from game one?
Considering that it went fairly close and that the end result ended up with one team having to secure Elder, or it could have gone the other way. I don't think that there is a whole lot of need for really switching things up. I think you can stay with the same bands for both teams and potentially see if you can maybe find that edge to get it over the line. Draft-wise, both teams were fairly good. Both teams had their strong points and their weaknesses. They played to them for both teams. And in the end, it ended up being one big team fight at the Elder, which decided the game. So I very much like that. I wouldn't expect too many changes. I am slightly confused as to why we're not seeing other bands coming through. So looks like there might be a little tag issue, which will give us the chance to maybe talk to something that was interesting to that we found afterwards on the previous game, and something I'd like to highlight. If we looked at the results there, you would have seen that one team had 77 assists, where the other team only had 17. That showed very clearly. Something in the 30s. That showed very clearly that one team was basically making sure that they were all working together, and here we really see that correctly. One team was really working together, sharing around, and everybody was contributing towards those kills, making sure that everybody was basically sharing in the goals. Whereas the other team, it generally was from 1, 2, or maybe 3 people tagging in onto a kill and making sure that was going over. Meanwhile, look at the damage charts. You will see that Kale actually had a monster of a game, which was to be expected considering the matchup. And this was offset by Murmur and our North Stream having an absolute great game as well. If I look at these two team comps, the only thing I might have changed up was the Bard pick. I think that if you actually provide an enchanter for the Yunara, she would have done way better, and this wouldn't have gone that quickly into one direction. So that being said, the Bard was able to tag along with the Jarvan and really impacted the rest of the game. So I kind of like the idea, the adaptation they did, but it's either the Yunara or the Bard pick that had to change. Meanwhile, we do see the final bans, and these final bans are identical to what happened in game one. So we're seeing no changes with the bans just yet, and now it's going to be interesting to see what the first pick will be. Meanwhile, fun part that we can already inform everybody about: the Gamba has started again. If you think we're going to game 3, make sure you bet
Gamba.
points on Wujusal. If you think that the Avarosians have it and are gonna close out this series, it's time to invest in some Avarosians and just make sure that you get some free Gamba. Here we see the Avarosians end up going with a first pick Ashe, and this is instantly answered by the Ezreal for Ampharos. But more importantly, Mismatch is going to go with one of his higher mastery champions, instantly locking in the Ahri, showing very clearly they don't think that there's a whole lot that can be matched up against this. So I'm curious to see what the Avarosians will answer with. And that is going to be an Aurora, which technically is a flex. For the very simple reason, I would be expecting it mid lane. But Kaisel is the one who has got more mastery on it. Also a mid laner, and I've mentioned earlier you can take this top. So this Aurora is a potential flex, can go both mid and top. Has a decent-ish matchup into the Ahri, and we will end up seeing a Pantheon. Pantheon again can be going top and jungle, so this is going to make banning for Wuju style, the second round bans, a lot harder. Because if you really want to be technical about it, technically Ash can go into to Waka. However, I doesn't really match up with his playstyle, so that's the only one who I'd expect to be knowing where it's going, and therefore I'd expect 2 support bans coming out from Wuju style afterwards. And meanwhile, they lock in Zac. And this is something. A Zac as a jungler is a risky pick for the very simple reason that once he becomes level 6, he is a really, really strong jungler, very good in team fighting and providing a lot of heals, etc. However, pre-6, he is probably the weakest jungler around, and even in a 1v1, he will lose out to Ivern. That is how weak he really is early on. So if you really want to put pressure onto Frail, you just hard invade him early on, take away his jungle, deny him his XP. As predicted, 2 support bans being thrown over to the Avarosans because that is the only role they know for certain that can be targeted, and the Avarosans are just going to be removing Vray's Darius. And now the question is, what is the next one that they're going to remove? Because I have a couple of ideas, and I'm slightly surprised they're going with the support option. Looks like they want to remove some hard engage, making and trying to force Zac to be the main engage, which is the one thing you don't want as a Zac. You want to be able to be the follow-up engage, not the main engage on your team. So it should be interesting to see how Wuju style is going to solve this part, and I don't like the Lux pick here. This is where you wanted some hard engage.
Don't like it either.
So this is. I'm not sure I agree with this one.
I definitely don't agree with that, especially when Alistar was on the table and it's going to be immediately picked. The reason
I don't think Alistar doesn't solve. Alistar doesn't solve the issue here. You need hard engage, and if you're looking for support, the one logical option was the Nautilus. It's not hard to play. I think that one was fairly straightforward. That being said, Ashe Lux means that there's a bit of a poke lane. It's not going to be that enjoyable for Ez Lux. And meanwhile, we do. Plus, there is some lore there. Remember, Lux has a bit of a soft boon for Ezreal. So, lore-wise, this is an interesting one. And then on the flip side, we end up getting an Aatrox in the top lane. And that means that Vray is going to go with one of his 2 Ultra Comforts. He has decided to bring out the set on which he has just 900k mastery. So very well versed into that champion. And I gotta say, I kind of like what it does because it's going to be able to clump people up, especially with the Zac, hold them in place. And then that Haymaker is absolutely going to wreck people when it comes to team fights. On the other side, though, Kazel opting for the Aatrox, a very strong champion in lane, and if he can get out with a lead, can really impact team fights. So I like both team camps. I have a strong preference for the Avarosians over the Wuju style, because I have a bit of a concern if Zac is your main engage, it's a really hard time to pull it off. But other than that, what do you think about this? Also, quick shout out. Oh, the Gamba's already closed.
The Avarosans I favor heavily. I know Alistar isn't the best of engage, but I probably would prefer to over Lux. I'm just not seeing a lot of hard engage, and that's my concern. The set does help out a little bit, but I'm not seeing a lot of great opportunities for Wuju to play an aggressive style. They're going to play a lot more reactionary, where they're going to have to wait for the Eversons to go in onto them. And the problem is, the burst damage from the Everosins can be absolutely killer here. I mean, the Aurora, the Ash, the Aatrox. I think this ends in 2 right here.
I'd love to disagree with you, but I kind of have to say that I'm fearful that you are right on this one. For me, it's gonna, well, a lot of onus is gonna be on the jungler here, on Varel, who's playing out of position. He's gonna have to find these ganks with his Zac out of weird angles, because Zac has with his elastic slingshot can gank from very weird positions, and he's gonna have to show that he's got a great mastery at that part if he to set up his laners. If his laners can get ahead, Mujustar has a chance, but if this is even, or even if the Everosins have a lead, I'd be very concerned on how this is going to go forward. The one thing that I will say is that the Everosins do have an immobile AD carry, and if Mujustar can get on top of that, they can really blow up Nord Stream. So Nord Stream, I hope you've brought your dancing shoes, buddy, because you've got a massive target on your back, and they will be gunning for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's the one member they definitely need to kill, and the problem is the rest of the members have some sort of movement or way to get out, and so especially without that hard engage, it's going to be on the North. I think there's a lot of pressure put onto him this game, but I think he has a great comp around him to help him out, and I'm curious to see how this one goes down.
Yeah, and the other thing which I'm curious to see how it's going to go is I'm quickly going to review, while we are trying to sort out some kinks, I'm quickly going to review the matchups, specifically the Set vs Aatrox matchup, because this one is rather contested, and it's going to rely on how well you take your trades. Are you able to dodge skills and on cooldown management? So this could be a really interesting one. I'm going to be curious to see how they played it, and considering that there's a person with a large amount of mastery on the set being Frey, I'd expect that he has a good idea how to pilot or navigate this match, but looking to see how he's going to turn that into his advantage, which is considered to be a match. On the flip side, then, we do end up in the jungle, and the jungle is the one where I'm going to be like, this is favored for me for the Zac, purely because of the weird gank angles that he can take with his ultimate, following up onto the elastic slingshot. This is a really, really big one, and it's going to basically, Varel is going to have to prove here that he has a very good knowledge of how to navigate that part. However, Zac is a very forgiving fighter in team fights, because if you collect your blobs, you can heal up the amount, and you will get a massive amount of them if you land your ult onto multiple people. So you can just heal yourself, CC others, make sure that they're generally annoying to play against. Something I really, really like. It's not a high skilled level champion, with the exception of hitting your Q and making sure that you understand your gank angles. Then it comes down to the mid lane, and in the mid lane, this for me is an interesting one, because this is where you have an absolute big matchup, and again, it is skill based. Ahri should hold the slight advantage, because with the ult she gets to reposition 3 times. However, Aurora excels at sustained fights, especially in close quarters, because she can then use her Q and W to create really annoying trading patterns. So it's going to be interesting to see how those two will interact with each other. And then I never consider the AD carries against each other, because it's basically a combination, and Lux Ezreal hold the advantage, making sure that they can poke out others. However, Alistair, with each skill it's used, will have that passive heal available, so he should be able to sustain Nora Stream through a fair amount. And if they ever miss position, and this is the big disadvantage of a range, if you make 1 or 2 mistakes that lead to a kill, that is when it can really swing in favor of the other team. So I'm very curious to see how they are going to absolutely navigate that bot lane and how this is going to interact. Objective wise, I would expect Wuju style to slightly hold the advantage, especially when it comes to dragon control, but we will have to see how these junglers path and what opening they choose.
Yeah, I'm interested in this. I think that there's a lot of combo potential between the Lux and the Ahri with the stuns, and I can definitely see some members of the Everosans getting blown up if they get caught, like the Aurora. But on the other hand, you're not facing a lot of immobile members that are just going to be easily blown up, and so I want to see this Wuju style comp work, but I'm concerned about how it'll work. And you talked about weird gank angles, as if there's not a Pantheon on the other side of the screen. I mean, you just saw him ganking mid lane. You think you're safe in the bot lane, and then suddenly there's a spear through your chest and a man coming to visit you. And I mean, it's definitely going to be able to help cover for the Zac ganks, although obviously his ultimate does have a long cooldown. But I honestly think this comes down a lot. I think the set's going to be piloted well, you know, with all the mastery. We can't really be surprised to see it do well. I think this honestly comes down to me on how the mid lane is piloted, because the Hui was just a non-factor last game, and this Ahri can really set up the Zac. It can set up the set. It can follow up on the Lux, or set up the Lux with her ultimate. So I think this Ahri is going to be really massive for everything.
Yeah, I gotta agree with most of what you've said. And the other thing which I'm also thinking about is, yes, sure, you can have a spear through your chest from the Pantheon. However, that's a kink for some people. You gotta understand that. Likewise, seeing blobs all around, sometimes it does it for some people. Now, the important part, though, is with these the Pantheon being able to roam. Granted, it is on his ultimate, but that ultimate has a 80-second, 90-second cooldown, where the Elastic Slingshot, that is a I think it's 9 at rank 5 with some CDR, so you're going to be able to use that way more often. So I'm very curious to see where they will go, and there's also what lane Frail will focus on, because last game the Jarvan didn't team up with the Hui at any moment, especially when the flash was down on the Syndra. I think he could have punished that a bit more and probably got the Hui ahead to a certain degree, which didn't end up happening. So it all depends on where the focus is. The other side is, remember, one team is playing with a rather late sub, and the other team is playing with, equally playing with a sub in Murmur. However, they have been, they seem to have a way better team cohesion, and they were well announced in advance and have played a boatload of games together. Therefore, their execution is more on the same, they're more on the same wavelength. So I'm very curious to see how this will progress. As you can see, there are currently issues getting into the lobby. As soon as they are there, the game should come up in the meanwhile. And until that happens, you will just have to do with the Dweller of the Shadows' lovely voice and me talking about what we would be expecting for this game.
I'm laughing. I had my mic mute while laughing, but we're gonna send it to a break because the problem is we don't know how long this will take. So hopefully you've enjoyed our voices. We will be back hopefully shortly. We're finally back. We have missed a little bit of the action. Thank you very much, Riot. But a double kill going over to Ampharos on the bot side. And you can see that Nordstream also has 3 kills. But Vray has been dominating the lane so far. Kind of what you expect with all the mastery that he has on the set. But so far, I mean, there's a chaos across the rift. This Alistar and the Ashe finally have the proper KDAs that we'd really expect from them, unlike last game. But it's a 1k gold lead for Wuju Style as they're going to be here in the spot lane trying to make an impact, but the problem is Walk is going to be knocking them up. Here goes Nordstream going right on the Emperor's barrier, going to be popped. And Nordstream will get the kill regardless, though, as he goes up to 4-1.
Yeah, and considering that Nordstream is up 4 kills and 2 kills over their direct lane opponent, I would have expected that fight to be a lot more in the favor of Ashe. However, Waka is doing his utmost best to make sure that lane crashes, while Nordstream tries to keep hold of the tempo. Meanwhile, we do see in the top lane, Kaizel not having a fun time, and a bit to be expected, especially since Vray knows this champion inside and out, and so far he has been piloting to near perfection, and therefore has been able to amass a massive gold lead, whereas all the his other laners his other teammates are behind. Dare I say, they're in. So it should be interesting to see how this is going to progress. And the other thing is, it also looks like, considering that Zach has died, my guess is that his passive is also down. I'd be very curious to know how it occurred. But meanwhile, we see a fight on top.
And it's Vray doing Vray things. Just not much you can do when you're facing someone this good. Vray is showing off why he knows this champion inside and out. But over on the spot side, here goes Vray. You mentioned the Zac ganks can come from any angle and can be really weird, but he opts not to go for one this time as everyone's piling around this Drake. And a big focal point for this game that really has to go differently for Wuju Style is the Drakes. They didn't get a Drake last game. It was just 4-0. And that Mountain Soul really had a huge impact on things. So you got to make sure that this time around you are actually getting those Drakes. And right now, you don't get the first.
Yeah, but if you look gold-wise, that top lane soon is going to be unplayable for Kaisel. And as much as I agree with the Aatrox choice here, considering that you know that there could be a Sith to come out, I'm not sure if you're not, and after the previous manhandling you received in game 1, I'm not sure if you're better off just taking a tank and just being like, the rest of my lanes are doing so well, let me just make sure that I'm useful for them in the team fights. So, somewhat surprised by the choice. That being said, we do have them currently in our game, and we will be seeing how this is going to impact the other sides. I need this Lux to be really useful this game. And for now, I'm not seeing it. So I'm also having a quick look at the map. I like what they're doing in the bot lane with the wards, making sure that they are covering the gank angles from Vril on this Zac. And with the massive lane power that you have in the top lane, I think this is real smart, making sure that you secure those grubbies, because that is going to make sure that you have Vrey having the option to get a extra amount of plates and really put pressure onto this Aatrox.
Yeah, and I think Vrey is the key member here. He had a great game last game, and it's a big part of why they stuck in it. And now the 3 Void Grubs will go over to Wuchu style, which will help with the top lane pushing. But like you said, this Lux is definitely a questionable pick, but this is exactly what it can do. But Nord Stream barely survives. Grand Stuff probably going to be used. Here comes Murmur. Emperor's over and trouble on the backside. And Felix looking for a kill before he can die. But no, not going to be able to find one. Murmur in a lot of danger though, as the rest of the members that come in. And Bray is going to be teleporting in. And he's going to use the showstopper. And he's going to put a stop to their lives. He gets 2 kills already, and Sunny's going to be next up on the chocolate block as Waka trying to back him down. Mismatch at low HP. Gotta be careful. And somehow it's only a 2-for-1, but Waka and Sunny are still in danger. North Stream not going to be here at all, but Sunny still wants to look for a kill, but Free uses the W to break the face open of Waka. He will die in response. Sunny not having the Q. Flash 2 dodge it, and Emperos gets the kill.
And this is exactly what the Doc ordered in that regard. Making sure that you get your head... Oh! Emperos. That was a massive dodge there with his blink. Oh, Lord almighty. Meanwhile, we are seeing fights left, right, and center being used. But so far, and this is where I'm somewhat disappointed, the use from Felix Nova on this Lux. You went for a very aggressive play, you forced a flash on Ashe, but then you end up being in the middle of the opposing team, and I'm not sure that's where you want to be as a Lux. I think that a Nautilus would have been absolutely fan-freaking-tastic in this scenario here. Meanwhile, Nord Stream ends up taking some more plates, and despite having been involved in less kills, it ends up being... Walker ends up being caught out. Meanwhile, we see trades across the board.
Yeah, both of these teams were not afraid to fight last game, and they're not afraid to fight in this game. 18 kills through 15 minutes of gameplay. We are getting treated to a bloodbath. But right now, I mean, Vrey is up to 6-1 on the set, and he has an item and a component along with the boots. He's just so far ahead here as Murmur is going to be charmed up, and here goes the Zac gank in the middle. Murmur is going to be in a lot of danger. He's not going to opt to pop the ultimate, as he's going to be able to use the Hex belt to get out of there. And now Kaisel's in a lot of danger, trying to bait in Bray under the turret. Not going to be able to get him to go, though, as this Zac is venturing to this top side. Gank getting ready. Kaisel not really aware, doesn't have the warding that the bot lane has, and Kaisel's going to be in a lot of danger. He has the flash, it can opt to use it. No, not going to be able to as the showstopper comes out, and Braille was tanking the turret to perfection.
Yeah, and not only that, that's first break that also goes over to Wuju style. Meanwhile, they're trying to answer it by taking the dragon in the bot side, but
Enchanted Crystal Arrow lands onto Felix, and he's going to be stuck there. Tries to use the ultimate, gets it off in time, but Ampharos gets the kill, but Murmur will be the one getting the kill onto the support, and it's just the Drake going over as Mismatch could not get down there. But over in this top side, Bray's claimed the tier 2, 16 and a half minutes in, and Vrail is going to claim the Rift Herald.
And please, for a second, let's just think about poor Kaisel here in the top lane. Frey has a 4.4k gold lead and is opting for yet another fight. This time, though, they missed the Haymaker, and this is a time to absolutely get some gold back.
And they do, and over in this bot side, Grand Starfall, Ampharos in a lot of danger, and he's gonna die to North Stream. Now Waka walking in the wrong part of town will take some chip damage, but with the Rift Herald summoned in the bot lane, is just going to try to back down North Stream as Vale wanted to dive onto him. But you see the damage this Ashe produces, especially at 5-2 and 2. And the thing is, yes, you feel good about Frey, you have a 2k gold lead, but this Ashe is starting to get scary here.
Yeah, some very particular things across the board. Lux for now still not being that massive useful poking option, but being a very good lightning rod, though. That has to be said. The gold lead getting a bit of gold going back, but the gold lead in the top lane is absolutely disgusting. Just please look at the item difference. Frey has a full item lead over Kaisel. This is not going to get better anytime soon. And was able to take both of the turrets without, most importantly, the Herald.
Ooh, Felix just not having a great game here. North Stream wants a little bit more, but the barrier is going to keep him alive as Varel was knocked back by Waka, and Varel just cannot go forward. True Shot Barrage not going to do a whole lot, but Varel's going to opt to go in because Frey is here, but he almost gets popped. 1 HP in a dream, and the chase down comes in. North Stream going to be able to use the flash, but the ability is not going to be able to land with the arrows, and somehow with 2 members on just about 1 HP, they survive. Mismatch, though, caught out on this side. It was looking for a kill on the North Stream, wanted the burst, but Murmur there in response, and this mid lane wave is ready to crash, but Bray is going to stand tall as the defense. Mismatch wants to go in, Bray's going to go in, they're all going in! Showstopper going to go on to Sunny! Sunny's going to be in a lot of danger now as he's trying to back out of it, and Walker's going to have to try to support him. Bray on the chase down, Braille on the chase down. Both of the V's getting the V for victory here on the kill, but over on the other side, Kaisel is going monstrosity! Oh my goodness! He absolutely makes up for the rough start he's had. He will go down in response, trying to get some teammate support here, and Bray and Braille cannot fully go. No, Braille wants to go. Walker's going to be able to knock him up and back him off. Kaiser going to be trying to kite him out, and Murmur is still alive. Bray uses the face breaker, and it's not going to be enough to kill Walker, as now Murmur's going to be the one in a lot of danger. Kaiser still hangs around for some reason, tried to kite them away, and he should be going down here as Rail jumps over the wall, and Bray cannot join the mix, but he will be there camping the dash, and down goes Kaisel.
I'm not sure you wanted to get hop over to the other side, and let's be very clear, if you're choosing who you're giving gold to, it's not to the goddamn set, so I do not agree with that move. However, a couple of interesting points that need to be brought up. Gold, that the team fight was very split up in two parts, with Vrey and Vrail teaming up to make sure that they're going after the backline. Meanwhile, the rest of the team from the Ever-Oceans going after Mismatch, Ampharos, and Felix Nova. Felix did end up getting a kill during that fight with the ultimate, so at least they're on the board there. But going forward, it's still a very even match. Two dragons have gone the way of the Ever-Oceans, though, and there's a lot of standing gold. So if they ever get one good team fight and are able to push some things, they can really start picking back that gold lead that's currently in the favor of Wuju style.
Yeah, and now you see everyone positioning for the Drake. I said I wanted to see more Drake contention from Wuju, and with the 2.6k gold lead, they definitely can contest it. But the problem is they don't have their top laner, and Kaizo may just sacrifice his life here. And the problem is the team cannot get the fight that they want, as Kaizo's going to be going down, popping the world ender just to stay alive a little bit longer. He's using the dash, and he's going to buy so much time for his team, and his team wants the fight angle, but they just cannot quite find it, as Felix uses the ultimate, and it's going to land on the two. Waka's going to get the knockup, and Mismatch is in a lot of danger. Vril wants to go in, though. Sunny cannot turn around for this, and Waka, try as he might, he's not going to be able to get out of here. Maybe he will. They actually turn for the Drake.
Oh my lord. Right now we are just looking at some pixels. So this is a bit of a rough run for us. However, we do see that this fight at the Drake is continuously going down. And meanwhile, we do see it working out.
Yeah, and over in the
and
top
now
side,
we end up seeing
your stream into his eyes again. Oh,
yeah,
here goes Vril. Hold on a second. This may be a little bit more action coming in as Vril. It's so laggy. Yeah, it's a bit laggy on our end. We can't quite see what's going on. Yeah, I think it's an a connection.
NA connection or NA production, one of the two. Either way, what does end up happening though is we end up seeing a massive wipe for one team. And look at this, Wuju are looking to end it. This was the one thing that I mentioned. Ashe is all good and well, but she's very immobile. And I was looking forward to something, but this just looked like they're going to end it right here.
Ooh. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we said we needed Ray to step up, and my goodness, did he. And while we had our criticisms of the Zac and the Lux, they seem to work out as what a way to end it. And now we do get to go to a game 3. The question is, how will the top side go? And it's just... it needs to be different than what we just saw here.
Yeah, I think the solution here is, in all fairness, the top player, I'm blanking for his name, Vrey has had Kaisel's number in both games, and I think it's time to maybe put Kaisel just on a tank. Tell him to just survive lane, because the other lanes are doing fairly well, and just be like that lightning rod, making sure that you will be decent for the team fights afterwards. Because in this game, Vrey just took Kaisel to town. He took 2 turrets worth of gold, was up over 4k on his direct lane opponent, meaning that he had a full item lead in the game. And from that point outwards, basically, there was no stopping Vrey. Wherever Vrey showed up, team fights just ended up going in the favor. And this is the one downside of the Freljord team. And I like that they've drafted the Ashe, because Ashe and Freljord goes very well together. However, Nord Stream was very immobile. You've got a Zach who can very easily get onto that Ash. So as soon as the sums are down, there's like a massive target on the back. And I'm pretty sure I mentioned this during the draft. That is where you can absolutely do some damage onto Nord Stream. And once his Ash falls away, the rest of the team didn't have a whole lot damage or to go around. That is a very important thing. Aurora is very good in short burst trades, but does not fare that greatly in long extended team fights. Sure, Waka can tank up a boatload of stuff with the Alistar, but again, he doesn't fare that well in team fights. Kaizo is basically, considering how this game was going, was reduced to a caster minion, and even at that, I'm not sure I get to call that a caster minion. So it all then depends on Sunny's Pantheon, and if that isn't massively ahead, you just don't have the damage to blow somebody up. Whereas your AD carry, being Nord Stream, was targeted multiple times. As soon as he's gone, your consistent damage is out of the window. So that's the important part. I am going to give some massive props to a person who I called out last game. Vrail on a Jarvan didn't have a massive impact. However, here with the Zac, first up, he opted for an interesting build. Not only that, the classic build is that you go something like a Leandries into a Sunfire. He was like, you know what? I don't really need that Leandries because there aren't that many tanks. Let me opt and adapt. And he went for the Proto Belt, meaning that it becomes a lot easier to hit the second part of your queue on Zac. And that, ladies and gentlemen, played a massive role in team fights. He was able to reposition, which was critical for some CC, some knockups, and sustaining himself as a champion itself. So I very much like what he did, how he adapted his build, considering what he was up against. He didn't need tankiness because, well, top lane, well, he was up against a cast minion. Let's be very fair about that. So, quick question for Shadow. MVP and Ace based on what we've seen, or are we like we didn't see enough? Shadow?
Oh, my mic never likes to work. The unmuting feature of it. I think it's obviously got to be Bray. And then I didn't see enough from the losing side to really pick an MVP for them.
I think I'd agree with that part. So with that being done, it's going to be interesting to see if we will end up with a short little break or not. But I think that we are ready to throw it over, unless production informs us that we are ready to go for Game 3. And on that note, we have been informed that we can go to break. We hope that all the issues have been resolved and that we will be able to see the full extent of Game 3. Catch you on the other side of the break.
Welcome back, everybody. We finally have reached game three. Everything throughout this series has been a roller coaster of emotions, just as we expected. And it's time for that roller coaster to come to an end. Game 3 of 3. It is fearless. Plenty of champions taken off the board, plenty still on the board, and you got to wonder what's going to be the difference maker here. Will it be Ray in the top side yet again? You got to wonder. We do have a bit of an update. Unfortunately, due to some Wi-Fi issues, the Avarosan's top laner is not able to continue, so they did have to grab a substitute. So for this game 3, it's a different top laner having to deal with the wrath of Ray, and I wonder if we finally see that tank we've been calling for. But I mean, we just gotta wait for the draft. Mazavera, what are your key players for this next game? I think Mazavera is AFK. So, ladies and gentlemen, the gambling system is live.
I'm here.
Get your
I'm here.
points in.
Same issue. I had a similar issue to what you had. My mic not willing to pick it up, so I guess we're all stuck in that regard.
So sometimes your mic just flies away and disappears. I get it.
Yeah, no, this one, mine just for whatever reason didn't want to pick me up, so I had to quickly reset the mic check. That being said, we got a little bit of a shuffle once again going around for the Avarosans. So Sunny is going to be pushed into the top lane, so he no longer is on jungle duty. Meanwhile, we are gonna have Fat Cat in a Hat come in for the jungle, and at this point, it kind of feels more like an in-house game than a real team fight going on. So it's gonna be interesting to see how this is gonna turn out. I'm very much looking forward to the picks and bans. I'm actually not sure if this fearless handicap has become a fearless advantage because Fat Cat on a Hat lightly plays some different champions and therefore will have access to different things. Still, it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to continue and what we will end up seeing with the picks and bans. Hopefully, it won't be too long before we end up going in there. But yeah, so far it has been an absolute blast. We're slightly disappointed that we didn't get to see the entirety of the previous game because I would have loved to see how Vrey took control of that early game. Vrey having such a high mastery on the set might have been able to pick up some pointers left and right because Atrix is always a really annoying matchup to deal with. But still, that was absolutely one-sided traffic, and unfortunately, Kaiser will not be able to get any revenge in Game 3. That being said, with the shuffle coming about, I am curious to see where Vrail will head out with his jungle champs because he's still got a couple ones where he's got played a fair amount on that he hasn't picked. I'm looking at you, Silas, and Kindred. I'd be curious to see if Vrel does end up going that route or if he's going to remain on somewhat of a standard champion and tank duty. Meanwhile, production has informed us that El Gamba is up, so that means that we've got some more fun to go around, and we also need to thank out the Dark Lord Aaron himself subscribing with a prime to the series. Massive thanks for that. Meanwhile, we do have a fair amount of time to predict for the Gamba, which is always fun. And if we look at the picks and bans for now, it does still feel rather standard. It is. We do see an adaptation from the Wuju style. Wuju style opting not to ban Vi, but have gone with a Nunu ban this time around, which of course is logical considering that Sunny no longer is in the jungle. And on the other side, the Avarosians, they just seem to be hitting the same champions time and time again. They do not want to be seeing any of the following Samira, LeBlanc, or Shogath. They're all going to end up on the bench. Meanwhile, Wuju style, first pick, looks like it's a Xin Zhao, the question always is this going to be AD, AP, is this going to be lane, or is this going to be jungle Xin? Currently, he's got 3 homes, or 3 lanes, or 3 positions that he can call home. So this is a very nice flex pick to pick early on. And the Avarosans are answering with a Trundle right off the bat.
Yeah, Trundle is not bad into Xin. I mean, you do like to subjugate him and can burst him down quickly. And then the Karma, speaking of flex picks, this can go support, this can go into the mid, but the Ezreal's off the board. So we won't be getting the Karma Ezreal pairing. It's going to be something else. But a Veigar in response in the middle, just looking to keep people trapped in so you can do what you want to
them. Interesting. Don't forget, Felix Nova does have a fair amount of mastery on the Veigar. Technically, it's a flex pick as well. However, that Vayne, not such a flex pick at all. Fairly clear where that one will be going. And now the question is, as Avarosans, do you pair the Karma up with one of her old favorites being the Sivir or not? Because it's a fun parent matchup. However, they decide to opt for the Caitlyn instead, meaning that they have got a bot lane with a high amount of range, a fair amount of poke, and Caitlyn into the Vayne. You need to build up a lead because otherwise the Vayne can take over. But if you do this properly, you can basically make sure that the Vayne never ever gets to play the game. And so it's going to be important to see how they're going to end up be able to gank. The other fun part is they have a Vayne Veigar combo. If as Veigar you drop the cage, Vayne is just going to condemn you into that cage, meaning it's a guaranteed stun. It's not a fun place to be in. So it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with that part. I think it's going to be important to make sure that you try and put some poke onto the Veigar so that Veigar doesn't have a lot of options to get close to you and move from there. The obligatory Darius ban in round 2 has been happening all around each and every single time. And it looks like the Avarosans are thinking this is a Veigar mid lane and not a Veigar bot.
So I'd be concerned that this is Veigar top or Veigar bot. Excuse me. That'd be a risky pick to pull out in game 3 of Fearless, don't you think?
It could go either way. Technically, the Veigar is also a flex, so I like what they've done here. But what I prefer more often is that these teams, when they come into this Runeterra Rising tournament, they end up picking the champions of the region which they are representing. This game, Nord Stream, not Nord Stream, the Avarosans have ended up with both Lysandra and Trundle, which is fun to see. And now the question is, Wuju style. The Ionians, they've picked up Xin Zhao, so we've got some lore relevant champions for their own regions on both sides this game. We ended up seeing the Lysandra getting picked up, and that means that there's already a massive amount of CC on the side of the Avarosans. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Gnar is going to get picked up, and with the last pick, we should be able to see where everybody is going, and this is going to be a Veigar mid. They're answering with a Thresh for Felix Nova. Thresh being his most played champion and also the champion with his highest mastery, so it's going to be interesting to see if we get some Bunny Fufu styled highlights or if it's just going to be regular good old Thresh. And on the sides of the Avarosans, they needed something in the top lane, something I have been calling out for the entire series. And ladies and gentlemen, it has shown up in the last one. We're going to end up getting a tank in the top lane.
Yep, and honestly, I gotta know, what draft do you prefer? I think I prefer the Avarosans again.
I think it can go both ways. I'll put it this way. If I compare lane by lane, I think there's a massive amount of pressure on Felix Nova to be absolutely godlike with his Thresh, to be able to turn his bot lane into something decent for the Vayne. Vayne is going to have a very hard laning phase. It's going to be interesting to see what the lane assignments are going to be once everybody has completed their quests. So that should be that should give us a good idea of how these teams have prepared or what they want to do. Veigar being the one champion where you have an absolutely massive amount of mastery on, and Mur opting for a Lysandra is basically to make sure that there's a lot of team setup and has a mid-game power spike, but not that strong late game. And then you've got a very clear transition to the late game with both Sion, Caitlyn, as your options for the Avarosans. For Wuju style, technically you have a great late game with Vayne and Veigar. The question is, will they find ways to get enough resources towards the Vayne? That's going to be the hard part. And also, the other part, which is interesting, is the Gnar is a very strong champion in lane, but when it comes to team fighting, you got to be really good building up that Gnar bar correctly, TPing in, then seeing if you can actually get the fight that you really want. So the harder to execute team comp definitely belongs to the Wuju style, but if they do this correctly, then this very well could swing their way.
Very much could, but also the thing is, and that obviously the subjugate from the Trundle can come in and make that Nora or the Zinjao a lot squishier than you may expect. And the other thing is, I'm seeing carries that more have some mobility to them, which I like to see this game. But as we get into game 3, ladies and gentlemen, we have some members of their regions stepping up in this third game to represent their region one last time in this bracket in the third place match. One of these two teams will secure just a bit more championship points. Let's find out which team it is. Game 3 is underway.
And right as we see this, if we go through the runes, everything is standard, nothing special. The Nor opting for fleet footwork, which, considering that he's going to be in a lane where he does a lot of damage with his range things, I kind of like this. So Vrel opting for the Xin. Xin is a fairly decent champion to pilot, not very hard. That all comes down to decision making here. And you said, yeah, sure, Fat Cat on a hat with a Trundle can use the subjugate. However, if Vrel uses his own ultimate to match this, then the subjugate will do nothing except provide some stats over to Fat Cat on a hat, but won't get drained because he will most likely be out of range.
Yeah, that's the thing about the subjugate too, is you don't necessarily need to use it on the tank. I do play a good bit of Trundle. If you get your hands on the Vayne or the Veigar, yes, it's not the best target to use the subjugate on, but you can almost two-shot them. And so it's a very underrated portion of the subjugate, but we're going to have to wait for the team fights for that. And honestly, the lane I'm keeping an eye on is this mid lane.
Well, then at least we're looking at different lanes, because the lane I'm looking at is the bot lane, seeing how on earth are they going to be able to manage this lane, because that's not a fun lane considering that the Caitlyn has such a massive range advantage. And as we can already see, there's a little difference that has been built up, and each and every time that Caitlyn has the opportunity, she makes sure that she puts in an auto attack on the opposing bot lane. However, both junglers pathing towards bot lane, I got a feeling we're going to be in for some fights.
Yeah, we definitely may be. We know that the bot lane has been a heavy point of contention and has been an absolute scrap fest. As Felix Nova wants to pull rail forward, flash is already going to be used to get out of there. As I mean, Walka did have to flash, and it was definitely scary. And that's the thing about the Thresh is, with the Zinjao pulling him forward, yeah, I mean, fights can kind of turn on their head in an instant, and it creates for some interesting gank angles.
Yeah, but the thing is Vrel stayed in that bot side rather long, ended up forcing the fight, which I do agree with. However, the issue is the downside of this is both scuttles ended up going over to the Trundle, and therefore we are in a bit of a pickle for regarding the rest. You are down in XP. The first scuttle's not the most impactful, but still it does add up over time. And look at the CS difference in the bot lane. You are nearly getting it's not a double up, but it's still a considerable margin for the opposition. And that Caitlyn is looking like they're going to be having fun.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Yeah, I was going to say real quick, the Caitlyn Karma are just such a strong lane duo, and with so much range, it's going to make this a brutal lane for Ampharos.
Yeah, but the thing is that lane has to come out on top. If that lane doesn't leave the laning phase with a considerable lead, then in the team fights, this is going to be turned around when Vayne really gets to hit people who are straight in front of her, front to back. I gotta say, I like what Sunny has been doing up until now. he has been an absolute nuisance in this top lane, and just making sure that he soaks up everything. Meanwhile, we get a little fight here. Frail does end up having to flash out.
Yeah, and I honestly, I gotta say real quick,
Go ahead.
I think this game comes down to Vrail. I'm gonna be honest with you. As crazy as that sounds, when the game that Wuju Style won, Vrail was having an amazing performance. The game where they lost, he was having an abysmal performance. I don't. Obviously, Vray is the best player. Ampharos really important, yes, but I think it's onto Vrail to not only set his team up in good positions, but also make sure that he's not putting himself or his team in bad positions.
I think he for now is fine. The other thing is Sion is known for being a very forgiving champion. Meanwhile, we do see a fight in the mid lane with Felix Nova getting in there. But I do feel like there's going to be a little turnaround there.
Yeah, as now Cat in a Hat is going to be able to flash forward, and Felix Nova's going to pull him away, but it doesn't matter. He pulled him away, but it wasn't enough, as Mismatch almost has the pillar knock him into the wrong side of history. But that's the first kill going over, and it's just a great job by Emperors to really have a great collapse there.
Yeah, and not only that, I think that it got kind of bloodied around everywhere. Meanwhile, Ampharos using the barrier to soak up some of that damage in the bot lane. I think that's a very smart usage of it as well. But still, a little lead going over to Fat Cat on a Hat, especially the fact that he is the beneficiary of that kill. And first blood was only achieved just prior to the 8-minute mark. Considering if we look at all the series that we saw earlier, that has to be a record. Meanwhile, both AD carries these flushes.
Yeah, and also the cleanse burn too. The barrier was burned prior by Ampharos, but the thing is that both of the previous games had a lot of kills. This one, it's looking a bit more peaceful, and maybe it's a bit of game 3 nerves. Maybe it's teams figuring out how to play defensively, or who knows, just not a lot of killer instinct left after those first couple of games. But it's going to be interesting as this goes on to see how aggressive these teams want to get.
For me, generally, when it comes to the final game, people are way more reserved. They think twice about committing for that risky play because they know that this is the final game. There's nothing left after this. Therefore, we do see them playing more relaxed, and I gotta say, in the top lane, Sion for now is doing an amazing job making sure that he stays alive, making sure that he's using his Infernal Furnace with each minion that he's killing. He's stacking up some HP, and he's going to be one very, very beefy boy as soon as he can reset. We do see a little invading going on the bot side, and I kind of like this.
I mean, Jesus, that was brutal. I honestly would have put a censor warning on that if I had the chance to set it in time. Mismatch got brutally murdered there by all the members of this Freljord side, and Fat Cat in a Hat is so far just outpacing Vrail. And another thing I'd like to shout out, Sunny's doing exactly what he needs to do, and it's why this game's turning out different from the last one. He's playing a tank, and he's just playing defensive. Just sit and farm under the turret, and nothing can go wrong. And yes, Vray is getting the turret and everything like that, and he may be about to pick up a kill as I eat my words. He was playing safe until he decided to back under turret.
Yeah, but again, Sion dying there, he still gets the entire wave. Hold up, we get another fight. And
North
this
Stream
is
just
what
gonna go
I
down
refer-
here. Waka maybe next up. Dude, this is the power
And
of the
this
bait.
is what
You overstepped.
Yeah, and this is where I'm like, if you make one minor mistake, this is where Vayne can actually come in and end up getting up. You need to make sure that you come out with a lead in the bot lane, and this is going to feel real good for this Vayne and going to provide her with some items so that she actually has a chance to do something and turn this fight and be relevant in the team fights. So far, much more controlled game, much more relaxed game, and Sion dying, we all have seen the clips of the boss. As long as you die at good moments, it's completely worth it. Oh my god.
Yes, now Vale is going to look to go in with the Crescent Guard. He pushes everybody back, and Mismatch is going to be doing a lot of damage, but the problem is Vale's already this back cat and a half was able to use the subjugate. Mismatch does pick up a kill on the Murmur, but it's not going to be enough as the ace in the hole comes through, helps to pick up the kill, and it's a double over to the Trundle. And he opted to get the Triforce first, and it's exactly why you want that increased damage. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's a second Drake over to the Freljord side.
And despite them subbing out to junglers, well, or moving Sunny from the jungle to the top line, it doesn't feel like their game plan has changed a whole lot. We're just going to stack up junglers, we're going to make sure that we play around mid and bot, and see how it goes from there onwards. So this should be interesting. Frey though has the chance to really start putting pressure on this top lane, and he currently is. Sunny, I think it's time for you to back out.
Yeah, and Felix wanted a bit more there, not able to get anything with the hook, but you can see the proxy coming down, and now Empress will be in some danger on this bottom side, so he's got to be careful. And there's 4 members. They've got the wave, and he's just going to be absolutely blown up. This turret will go down too. This is the beauty of the Trundle as well. Yes, he wants to stay in the jungle and farm, but when you get to have some time alone with the turret, you just absolutely shred it. Mismatch will get a couple of plates in the mid lane off of the play, but right now it's looking really good for the side of the Freljord.
Yeah, but look at the Caitlyn. Despite her being 30 CS up, she's only 300 gold up. Gold-wise in the bot lane, it's still fairly even. And you really need that gold to go on the Caitlyn to really be able to put in pressure. That being said, Murmur, wherever he is, he will end up having the opportunity to fight. We do see the gold lead on the ADC graph, and it was a nice build-up for North Stream. However, unfortunately, it was not to be. Meanwhile, in the top lane, oh boy, Frey is not having a fun time.
He has ult.
Sunny, you need to ult here if you want to do something. And
yeah, but he opts
enough,
not to use it. In fact, Cat and a Hat uses the subjugate. This is the thing. Bray's in a lot of danger now. Just barely going to be able to walk it out. Cat on a Hat burnt his flash, though. So for Bray, it's quite a good play out of him, but now he's going to be in a lot of danger. The ult going to go wide. Sunny is going to go down, though, to the turret with the power of Bray, but they're going to be able to get the kill right back onto him as the undead Sunny gets a kill. And you mentioned the part about dying at the right moments, and that was it.
Yeah, but Sunny, I do feel like you could have used that ult earlier. When Trundle had the subjugate on, make sure you ult in, do some damage there. I think that would have guaranteed the kill and you didn't have to die there. Still, I'm fairly certain that he opted, there will have been a good reason that he opted not to do it. And look at this damage dealt graph. We have seen this before. We have seen Frey absolutely laying a smackdown on his opposing laner. However, the difference here is it's a Sion. It's a goddamn meat shield, and every time he kills minions, he's even getting extra health. Therefore, he can tank up a big amount of punishment and still remain useful within a team fight. So I gotta say, currently, I'm liking how this is looking. Fat Cat on a Hat is absolutely having a great interaction with the entire team. Murmur is in a good position as well, and it's going to be interesting to see how these two are going to use that power between these two champions to go to the side lanes, because that is going to be the key. Team fight wise, Murmur is going to have to be on Ampharos, because if you are able to absolutely delete him, then you can do some real work this game. Oh, and Nord Stream looks like he's in a bit of a tricky position, but has some fancy feet. And now he's just going to turn it back onto Vrail, who then has to pop his ult. Meanwhile, we do end up having another fight in the top lane as well.
Yeah, but it's like a bar fight. Nobody wins. These two guys are just exchanging health bars a little bit right now. But the ultimate's going to be used by Sunny as Ray has run out of the Meganar. But the problem is he still has a lot of damage as the Decimating Smash is going to be able to land. And Sunny trying to flash forward, dodges the boomerang, but will not dodge the autos as now he goes into the undead form. And Ray should drop to this, and it will be a 1-for-1.
Yeah, it's a delayed 1-for-1, but look what's happening in the mid lane here. And another turret goes down. This means that more plates have gone over to the Avarosians, and they are currently building out a bit of a gold lead, which, look at all the champions. You've got a 1.8k gold lead in the top, but that is offset by the same amount in the jungle, and Murmur, Nord Stream, and Waka currently are up in gold towards their opposite number. And guess what? They're getting a dragon once again. This will mean that they've got 3 dragons and are ready to push over to the next. Interesting little stat. Unsure if most of you noticed, but the best dragon to have
This one, you gotta be careful. Everyone's able to walk away relatively unharmed, although Nord Stream is low on HP, and you can see Murmur on the side is gonna get hooked, gonna get played, and that's gonna be at the death of him, but Ampharos dies to the turret, and here comes the Scion on the back side, looking to get a little bit more, but the problem is it's gonna be turned on by 4 members of Fat Cat, and a hack cannot push forward. Sunny's in a lot of danger now. Braid jumps forward to cut off his escape, sends him into the wall, and that is just not what you want to see.
Yeah, I agree that very much. This is the last thing you want to see, but the important part here is, once again, they are able to keep Nord Stream alive. However, some more extra gold goes over to Ampharos, and you gotta start being concerned for these team fights. The other part, which I find very interesting, is right now AP Zin seems to be slightly preferred over the AD Zin, and we do see Vrail going for the AD Zin, probably something that he knows out of memory, not especially attuned with the new build because it's fairly recent. Meanwhile, we get Karma doing some face checking.
Gonna be in danger. Yeah, Murmur's gonna have to pop the ultimate really early on, and the problem is he has to flash out of there as Vrail used the Crescent Guard, but now Northern taking a lot of damage in the front line, but Ampharos is on the front line, and he's gonna die on the front lines as the cage did not come down in time to support the ADC, and Ampharos caught being over ambitious yet again, and with the Baron spawning soon, that's not the best of times as Ray's trying to fight off for these chickens. Gotta defend the coop, but you're only able to do it just a little bit, as Mismatch will kill Murmur with the ultimate.
Yeah, and right now you know that the scaling is kind of on the side of Wuju style, so this next dragon could potentially be a make or break. I feel that if they get the soul, knowing that the air soul is the one that has the best stats across all the dragons to provide a win. It is considered as the strongest soul because of what it does with your team. I think that that's a really, really big ask to take, and they need to make sure that they get that advantage. That being said, they just keep feeding all this gold into Frey, and Frey ends up getting out thanks to Felix Nova's lantern. So that turret just has a shred of health left. But the important part here is I have the feeling that all the plates that Wuju Style is taking, they're all being funneled straight into Frey, and he's gonna be a problem on the side lanes if this keeps up.
Definitely going to be a problem, but the thing is, one horse cannot always pull the full plow, as if he's the only one having a good game, that's not the best of signs. Everyone else is relatively splitting even here, but in the jungle, it's a good gold lead, and I mean, this bot turret is surviving on one hit. Vray should take that very quickly for a bit more gold, but Murmur is going to come over and use the proto belt to help out, as Mismatch is just going to be finding nothing but a grave. Does get some good damage onto Murmur with the rest of his life, but it's not enough. And with that next Cloud Drake spawning, they can start to rotate down for this.
Yeah, but the big part is right now, Frey has built that Black Cleaver, which means that he's going to be shredding all the armor that poor old Sunny is going to be building. And look at this, he's got 2 armor items already, and it feels like Frey is just cutting straight through them. I'm... Sorry. Feels like
yeah, now everyone's going to be going in here. Vray's going to try to get a kill on the front line, but the problem is the crescent guard is going to be used. It's going to push back Nord Stream straight to a grave, but here comes Sunny. Sunny going to look to help kill Vray, as that's the member you got to kill up, but Vrail is on the Waka, and everyone's just going to be dropping. The team fights fell apart for the Freljord, as all members survive, and this... it's how you get it done. All 5 members working in perfect tandem, and they can look to push in this mid lane. They have a 3,000 gold lead, and it's about to get a lot worse.
Yeah, and this is absolutely amazing. Making sure that they get a little bit of a gold lead up ahead after what they did. Making sure that they get that dragon. And anytime that they can stall for a bit of time at this point, it is in Wuju style advantage. I gotta say that they did an amazing job making sure that the Norbar had just reached critical mass. Therefore, you got the absolute Nor into the wall, and that is where the big damage can be done, because then you have enough time and space for Ampharos to just come in and start really laying down the damage which he can do.
Yeah, and the thing is, everyone's starting to position around this Baron, and something to watch out for is the Baron can die rather quickly to a Trundle, and Trundle's one of the few champions that can actually solo Baron. But now, speaking of solo, Felix Nova just going to be soloed by everyone, and now Murmur wants to go a little bit more onto Ampharos, but the problem is the damage is going to rain onto him, and he's got to back off. He's got his teammates in support, as here comes the Scion Ultimate. Vrel gonna bite the bullet and eat it as he pops the crescent guard to push it back immediately, but the problem is the rest of the team's gonna be coming in, and he just has to give his life for nothing, and that's just going to be the Baron given over. No one there to even look at getting a steal onto it.
Yeah, and I gotta say, Vrel here, massive props to you. We do see a TP from Mismatch. Is he gonna try some crazy stuff here? Is he gonna be able to interrupt this, or is he just gonna buy time? I don't feel like you should be disengaging here. Make sure you stay on that Nash.
No, they want to go in. It's low health bars, but the problem is Vray's getting 0 to 100. CC chain lands. Ampharos going to be chased down by Fat Cat and a half, but the problem is they've delayed the Baron, but the problem is, have you delayed a grave on your life? Ampharos gets out by the hook, but the problem is the Scion's there. Murmur in a lot of danger, but the roots come through. And yes, they stop the Baron, but everyone is dropping for this Wuju style side, and there's just not a great angle, but the members should be backing. No, they want to start the Baron, and the Xin Chao is on the board, so it's a little bit risky, but there is no
I'm-
ADC around to try to help out. This Baron's not
I'm not
dying
sure
fast
this is
enough.
smart.
This Baron's not dying fast enough.
Technically,
Hook's
this
gonna
is a
land.
flip.
Here comes Murmur coming back from a grave, but Frail gets a little bit too excited and goes down, and the Baron will eventually go over. TP's coming in, though. They need to make sure they make a clean escape, but the problem is the Baron's just not dying fast enough. Gonna need a smite. Now you gotta rotate out on the top side. Look at Bray. Bray on the chase down. Pops a ward, wants to go over the wall, but he just knows it's too risky.
And the thing that you need to take into advantage is 6 people have died since the start of that Nash. This is an amazing way of making sure that the gold lead that originally was in the favor of Wuju now all of a sudden completely changes hands and goes into the favor of the Avarosians. You have killed 6 people plus taken a Nash. That means that this timer should work out and get an absolute...
Okay,
So we get
you know
another
what feels
fight,
even
and-
better is just to kill onto the mid laner.
Yeah, that's definitely one way to go. But the most important part is you're going to be able to use this Nash buff and use it to push and make sure that you just get to have prio and pushing lanes all around. That should translate into a free soul afterwards. So, gotta say, at some point I was wondering, do you want to take the Nash? Because Wuju Stout was just coming one by one and literally donating to the gold fund, which was called the Avarosians.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
and
we do have this-
I mean, there's just nothing you can do to stop the streak. What do you do? You really can't step to them, and this is what happens when you do step to them. Felix has to flash over the wall to get away, but all 5 members are here, and it feels like this is time for a Hail Mary play. 5 versus 5 getting ready, but the Zincha's not going to be with you. Soul Point has spawned. If they can take it, and the hook is going to land with the cage combo, and everyone's going to be going in as members in the front line, but he's going to be taking a lot of damage, popping the ult to try to get out of there. Spray's going to jump out to the back line, but he's just not doing enough damage. Murmur's already gone down. Everyone's is still surviving, but the Sun is going to be able to go forward. There goes Fat Cat in a hat. There goes Mismatch. And my goodness, were they mismatched in game 3. It's a stomp from the Freljord.
Yeah, and this Trundle is absolutely having a field day. Fat Cat on the hat, up 4k gold. That's a full item ahead over to Zinzao. And that just means that it ends up being so secured for the Avarosians. And now the question is, what do you do from here? Because you have secured all your things. You've got a absolute problem with the Trundle, who you're going to have to keep off your backline. So you can't use that Mismatch's cage aggressively. You're going to have to use that passively to allow people to reposition. Same goes for Vrail. He might have to pop his ult faster than he would like if Fat Cat on a hat ever ends up on either Vayne or Vhagar.
Yeah, and now, I mean, and this just almost feels like a victory lap for the Freljord as they're finding Bray. And you can see this top tier 1 is getting ready to go down. And that's the thing that makes this even more messed up, is that you got everyone here, but you're not going to be able to kill anyone, as Murmur and Fat Cat in a hat can just run away using the Cloud Soul. Northern going to try to get a little bit more. Crescent Guard is going to be popped to try to cancel out the sign ult, and Murmur has taken a lot of damage from the Q, but it's just not enough to kill him as North Stream's on a rampage. This Caitlyn has been gunning him down, and this top turret will fall. And what I was going to say is what's even more messed up is there is so much standing gold on the map for the Freljord to claim. Mismatch maybe next up. North Stream locked in the cage. We're going to be taking a lot of damage, but Mismatch will drop. No! Bray jumps in front of it just in the nick of time. This turret still should fall, though. And while they try to mount the defense on the top side, Bray just trying to get a little bit of poke down. Murmur's not here, so maybe not the angle they want to fight on.
Yeah, and the thing that I'm wondering is right now, this is the one downside of playing with a Vayne. You don't have a whole lot of wave clear, which does mean that there is a bit of a risk here.
Yeah,
However,
and Murmur is finally here. The cage able to back him off, but Vray cannot get the kill. That's the problem, is there's just no angle due to them traveling as a pack.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of. This is where Fat Cat on a Hat is so far ahead. Look, he's even got the GA already. He's on 4 items, building towards his final item. And Sion, after having suffered all the abuse of the Nor, I kind of would be curious to see if production could throw us up a little screen with how much you have tanked during this fight. Because we always talk about the damage, but I'm very curious to see if that could be provided. Unfortunately, not available right now. So we'll have to see that at the end of the game, but that's absolutely going to be an amazing stat in of itself, I feel. Meanwhile, Fat Cat on a Hat is looking for Vray, because if Vray goes, then this becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, and the tether's going to land, and Nord Stream picks up another kill. Here goes the rest of the members, as Vrail wanted to support his top laner, but he's not going to be able to. Mismatch looking for a little bit of damage on the Murmur, but he's only going to be able to take away 25% of his HP as all the members back off. And it's definitely a slow grind, but it's a grind down that the Freljord have destined in the stars as they start the bear.
Yeah, and this second Baron, what is it going to lead to? It's going to end up making sure that the timer will tick over to the Elder, so they're making sure they're queuing up the objectives one after the other. And this means that Wuju style under constant pressure, because they don't really have time to, with the Baron, all lanes are going to get pushed in. That means that they don't really have time to set up the vision, but without the vision, they're blind checking into a team that has a 7k gold lead and has one very scary Trundle with a big stick. And we all know how it goes. The Trundle's motto is very simple. Whoever has the biggest stick is the king. And right now, he's making sure that he is asserting his dominance over this game.
He really has. I believe that he has yet to die. And you can see the full game gold graph. It's just... well, actually, I believe that's for one of the lanes specifically. As Felix Nova is going to be in a lot of danger, and the cage will help him out. But you can see the Trundle 8, 0, and 12. It's absolutely beautiful. This is the full game gold graph. And, I mean, it started off so good for Wuju style, but things have just gone downhill as the tier 2 mid lane turret will fall. Bot lane gonna be next up.
Yeah, and the important part here is going to be, how do you tackle this onwards? Because you need to get your vision in. However, they're making sure that they're just not getting any potential vision whatsoever. There is a chance for a little fight here.
Yeah, but nothing's really gonna come of it. The problem is Wuju style just don't have the damage, and obviously for this Freljord side, you just don't want to overcommit on it. And with the inhibitor on the bot side gonna fall, the Thresh Hook will land and just delay it a slight bit more. But there's just nothing much you can do. Final opportunity to defend now for the series and for the 3rd place title. Everyone's gonna have to go nuclear here, and the thing is, the soul is up. They don't even need to fight this. They're gonna take 2 inhibitors and actually elect to back off and play for the soul here, except for the fact that you can see Sunny's caught in a little bit of danger, and everyone's gonna have to go forward as Felix Nova's gonna be the first one on the chopping block, but Murmur's already dead. That's gonna be the mid laner down. Maybe the angle that they need. Frail trying to go forward. Crescent Guard is gonna be popping. It's not gonna be enough. Sunny in a lot of danger, flashing over the wall, and Bray jumped. Bray jumped and did not get over that wall. So the members will back up and they defend for now.
Yeah, but you've got a 10k gold deficit right now. You've got 2 lanes pushing in. And quite frankly, if you go straight to the Elder and try and blow it up, I don't think you have the damage to immediately burst it down, which means that it is going to be a contest. And you've got Fat Cat on a Hat zooming back in. He is going to be a problem. And now the question is, how do you progress from
Felix
here? Because
Nova's
you
on the
can't-
wrong side of history as he's just gonna die. It's a fat cat in a hat. The pillar landed on him perfectly, and you don't want your Thresh in the front line. He tanked so much damage, and now the Elder Soul down to 10k HP. Cage is gonna land, and it's a beautiful one, but the problem is it's just not enough as the Zion ultimate is gonna be used, and Bray uses the Nora ultimate to knock them all back, but the teleport's gonna come in, and Murmur's here! Blows him up! Northstream gonna take a kill! Mismatch up next! Brill going down! Bray the only member surviving! But next on the chopping block is him! Teleporting to the base they go! And that will be a third place decider!
Yeah, and a massive fight here. And this was the issue. They never really got out. They started that Elder, figured out they couldn't take it. And at that point, they were caught between a rock and a hard place. That means that our good friends of the Aberrosians should be congratulated for their win. Commiserations to Wuju Star, who put up a good fight and provided us with an enjoyable series.
Agreed. It was a great series indeed. Unfortunately, doesn't quite end how you want it to for Wuju Style, but it was definitely a great game to end it. And honestly, I mean, Fat Cat in a Hat came in on such short notice and put on a thriller of a show, an absolutely phenomenal job out of him. And for Bray, it was also a great match, but unfortunately just not enough, even with the gold fed into him.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I was properly impressed by Fat Cat on a Hat. He just came in and absolutely decided to roll everybody up. So that being said, I think it's time. We need a series MVP, and I think that one's the easiest one out of all of them. That's Fat Cat on a Hat. However, we need an
Hold on, series MVP. Hold on a second.
No.
Hold on a second. He came in
I
for
wanted
one
to say
game.
game MVP.
Game MVP.
Game MVP
There you
goes
go.
definitely to Fat Cat on a Hat. However, we need a series MVP. Who would you give the series MVP to?
I mean, it's between Murmur and Northstream. They both did amazing, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I would ultimately say Murmur. I think he just had a bigger impact in all three games compared to Northstream having a bigger impact. His impact is definitely felt, but I think it was Murmur overall setting up so many plays for his team.
Murmur in Game 3 was an absolute monster, and that TP at the end just ended up sealing the deal, making sure that nobody could get out, providing the slows, the stuns, and everything that he needed to make sure that his team would end up victorious without getting that Elder Dragon. So that was, I think Murmur is a worthy MVP. Ace for the series, I think that's an easy slam dunk. It has to go to Frey. Frey had an absolute fantastic series across the board. In every single of the games, he absolutely showed that he could demolish his opposing top laner. Unfortunately, it was not enough to put his team on his back and just hard carried him over to a victory. Meanwhile, we have been informed by production that we do have an updated standings ready for you. So I'm fairly certain that that will be provided. That means that currently Piltover it has 300 points. The Freljord 265 points. Demacia 215. Ionia 165 points. Unless if I'm mistaken, I do think that Piltover still has a series to play. I'm not sure about the other regions. So Piltover has 3 series still to play, and Demacia also has 3 series. So we could really still see Demacia push up, especially if they end up being victorious in all their series. So make sure that you stay tuned for future streams, because these standings could end up shifting really fast. So that is, and then I will leave the outro over to my good man, the Dweller of the Shadows.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us here today at Runeterra Rising. What a series it was indeed. Congratulations to the Freljord side. Thank you, obviously, to all the players. And thank you, of course, to you fans at home. You guys, the players and the fans, are the ones that make this league possible. And get ready, because the action is not done. We have plenty of grand finals coming up, as Zon versus Demacia grand final is tomorrow at 19 BST. And I mean, ladies and gentlemen, you do not want to miss it. Can Demacia make the comeback and upset Piltover in the championship points? Starts with a good match tomorrow. But that'll be it for us here tonight at Runeterra Rising. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Make sure to take care and have a great night.